In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at some warmer times that are going to persist. It's going to cool back down after a while of it persisting. And then this model has it warming back up again and then cooling back down again. So very, very back and forth. We can't seem to really escape the cooldowns that keep coming in. Typically at a certain point in the summer, the bigger cooldowns are going to stop. We are not seeing that on the models, so I feel like we're gonna have a very turbulent, at least beginning half to the summer. That's pretty evident at this point. These bigger cooldowns that again aren't freezing, it's just much cooler than the warmer air that's in place. That's creating a lot more instability than there typically is, and that's why we're having more severe weather. We're having more stronger thunderstorms in general. Just really, really nasty weather. And then when it cools down, it's just not super hot either. So a lot of interesting weather because of that. We do have a major storm popping up on this model run that I really want to dive into with you guys because it does look quite dangerous. So let's just dive into things. We're taking a look at the past 14 days of temperatures, and we can see cooler than normal conditions have persisted in these areas. Really, this is the one that we've seen more. So seeing cold over the past 10 days. And we've actually seen a pretty significant warming trend, especially in this quadrant of it over the past 10 days. But this area, for the most part, has remained warmer. As we take a look at the upcoming temperatures, we can see if you live along these coasts, it's quite warm today. It was yesterday and the day before as well. But we can see this little glimpse of warmth is very, very isolated to just the East Coast and Gulf Coast here, because we, for the most part, have this large cool down that is moving in a hurry. This Arctic blast is coming right from the Arctic Circle, so it's a super potent one for this time of year. And we have the warmer air mass over the west. We call this a positive PNA, and this is really what's funneling this cold in to this area. So once we move this towards later today on Tuesday, we see again it even got cooler through the day. Tomorrow we actually see that a lot of this is warming up, so again that warming trend that is coming in a hurry. There is cold air around, especially for areas of Canada and then areas of the deeper south there in the United States. Meanwhile, keep in mind the west just remains warm for the most part. Thursday, really not too different. We're not even going to break it down. Friday, I guess the same thing here. I guess the only thing worth noting here is we do get some cooler temperatures along the northwest coast as well as the southwest coast of Canada. Certainly worth noting for those areas that we're seeing this cooling trend that could force a lot more warmth into the east if we see this cool down continue for these western areas. As we keep going towards Saturday, still cooler in the east a little bit. It's not as potent as it once was. Sunday on the 15th, really similar. Monday the 16th, not too different. Tuesday the 17th, we see this cold expanding finally over 5 days from now. Cooler conditions in the northwest there. This warmth is migrating, as you can tell, kind of towards the east. Now we're kind of in the opposite of what we looked at the beginning, where the cold is relatively isolated here for these coastal areas and warmer air is intruding and moving in. Wednesday's quite similar. Thursday on the 19th is quite similar. It's not really until Saturday the 21st where we get any big changes, and the biggest change here is warmer air trending back in for this west coast area, unfortunately, and this cold looks to be migrating towards the east once again. So again, we're transitioning a lot, and also this area here would be very, very unstable, especially if we have a high precipitation cold front dragging along that area. You could anticipate bad potential impacts for severe weather where that very cold and very warm area is extremely close together. That is a recipe for bad things. That continues eastward Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the 24th. We finally see this fully embedded. So we get this warmer than normal pattern here with the colder air once again over the central and eastern areas. We kind of end off where we started out, really. Wednesday the 25th doesn't look too different either. So The only thing worth noting is that this very potent cooldown at the end of this model run is very, very far out. This is probably about 15 days out, so certainly there is some time for this to change, so let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Looking at some of this storminess, there is a relatively active pattern along the east and Gulf coasts, as you can see, with some storminess around. Tomorrow, on the other hand, is a bit quieter, especially for the East Coast. It's really the Gulf Coast back up into the Rockies where we're seeing a lot of storms taking place. We'll be watching for some lows coming out of this Colorado, Rockies in general area. We do get a low forming around here, a little bit of maybe a warm front look. We get these humid thunderstorms kind of pulling northward here. But it doesn't look like we have a super dynamic cold front yet behind that, which would be our number one severe weather threat. Friday the 13th, we do see a lot more thunderstorms sparking up in the east. No major lows, like we mentioned, sparking up. Saturday is extremely similar. Just really, really stormy in the east. Sunday, not even too different. It's just further to the south and further to the east. Monday, we're finally slowing down in the storminess, and we mostly just have some isolated chances of thunderstorms popping up here along the Gulf and southeast coast, but nothing too critical. As we keep going towards Tuesday the 17th, we have a 994 here north of Minnesota, so some storms happening in here, but not super dynamic yet. And by Wednesday, actually, the original low is really rushed over to eastern Canada. We get a secondary low here, where again, there is some storms, but really the primary threat is going to be this 994 low between Montana and Wyoming. We do see another day here where there's just widespread areas of isolated thunderstorm activity happening there by Wednesday on the 18th here. As we move forward even further, Thursday, we're really watching the east. This low up here in Canada does have a little bit of a cold front, so this could be some severe weather to watch for the upper Midwest and northern plains area. As we keep on going, Sunday here on the 20th, we're watching this eastern area for some scattered thunderstorms. A little bit more heavy activity up here in the northern Rockies and northern plains, even some snowfall there for the Rockies, which these models have been continuously showing. Saturday on the 21st, this low looks like a real dynamic one. We get the warm front there where there's clearly a warm, humid push, and it looks like it's trying to extend out a cold front. So let's see what happens over the following hours. Yeah, we really take off here. 1004 over Wisconsin. Clearly a dragging cold front there, and then clearly a warm front up here. So this could be our next real threat to watch for. We really have that warm, humid air rushing in, and then we have the cold, dry air rushing in behind it. And I think this is that frame that I mentioned earlier, where the cold air is really, really close there behind that line to this very rich, warm air out ahead of it. And that would create a really dangerous severe weather situation likely for the plains and Midwest areas here, if that is the time frame that I'm thinking of, which I'm almost certain it is. That does arrive at the East Coast between Monday and Tuesday, the 23rd, 24th time frame, before kind of chilling out, and we end up with a quieter pattern right here at the end of the model run with a jet stream that is clearly ridging in the west, troughing in the east. Now, the total precipitation, because of this, we actually see a huge spike up here in the upper Midwest and northern plains. We also have a lot going on underneath for the south central states, southeast, mid-Atlantic, and up into the northeast. We also see, when we look at the kind of precipitation anomalies, we see really, really high amounts. This is double to even triple your average for the next 15 days here. Also for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, we see some of the Carolinas here as well, seeing some of those blues. That's the real rich stuff where it is far above average. The greens and browns are going to be really close to what's typical. It's really once we get into these deep browns and reds where we're concerned about a lack of precipitation, but it's only a very small area there in the middle of the nation. In many different areas, almost the entire nation is of very little concern for a lack of precipitation. Storm Prediction Center outlooks. Here's day one for today on Tuesday the 10th. We do see The lighter green area, that's your general thunderstorm risk, where we expect general thunderstorms, but not severe weather. But anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. We do see the 3 darker green areas as well. That's going to be your level 1 marginal risk, where we expect isolated severe weather. And then we have that yellow region for West Texas as well as southeastern New Mexico. That's going to be your level 2 slight risk, where we expect more scattered severe weather to occur. For day 2 tomorrow on Wednesday the 11th, we do see a general thunderstorm risk as well as 3 marginal risk areas with no slight risk as of now. And then for day 3, which will be on Thursday the 12th, we see general thunderstorm and 2 marginal risks this time. So very, very similar. We don't have any extended day outlooks yet at this point, but from what we just saw in the model guidance, I really do feel like there's a chance we see some elevated severe weather risks down the road. With all that being said, be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.